Let her know that we can.
Call to order the regular city council meeting for Tuesday, January 2nd, 2024, at 5:30 PM. Moving on to item number 1 on the agenda, and that is roll call.
Burlingame.
Here.
Evans.
Here.
Janser.
Here.
Olson. Here. Pittner.
Here.
Padragula. Ross.
Here. Moving on to item number 2, Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag
Of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Moving on to item number 3 on the agenda is the mayor's report. Really nothing to report since our last meeting, but I do want to inform members of the council that item 7.1 under action items, 7.1 will be pulled and cleaned up for the next meeting. So item 7.1 will be pulled from tonight's agenda. Since there wasn't much of a report, I'm sure there's no questions, so we can move on to the city manager's report, item number 4.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, members of council. As always, the city manager memo is included in the packet for your review and any questions. I would also like to add publicly that we had a meeting scheduled tomorrow for the Planning and Zoning Commission, but we had nothing for the agenda, so that meeting will not take place tomorrow night.
Are there any questions of Harold, city manager? Seeing none, we will move on to item number 5 on the agenda. That's the city attorney's report. Steph?
Members of the council, I submitted a written report, and I do have one brief update to the municipal court case totals that's on the last page, right above the signature line. The criminal totals for December are 140 cases. The traffic totals for December were 274, for a total of 414 matters that were handled in municipal court for December. So that brings our 2023 totals to 1,554 criminal cases, 3,547 traffic cases, for a total of 5,101 cases that were handled through municipal court this year. And that concludes my report. I'd stand for any questions at this time.
Any questions of Steph? Seeing none, thank you. We will move on to item number 6 on the agenda. That is the consent items. We have 15 items on our consent agenda for the evening. There have been no requests to pull. If there's any requests to pull any items off the consent agenda? Seeing none, what are the wishes of the council?
Move approval.
We have a motion by Paul. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Lisa. Any discussion? Is there any discussion? If not, please call the roll.
Pittner. Yes. Ross.
Yes.
Burlingame.
Yes.
Evans.
Yes.
Janser.
Yes.
Olson.
Yes.
Moving on to item number 7 on the agenda, that is action items. 7.1 was pulled until next meeting. Moving on to item 7.2, that's Human Relations Committee. What are the wishes of the council?
Move approval.
We have a motion by Lisa. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Mark. Is there any discussion? Any discussion? If not, please call the roll.
Olson.
Yes.
Pittner.
No.
Ross.
Yes.
Burlingame.
Yes.
Evans.
No.
Janser.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Moving on to item number 8 on the agenda, that is personal appearances. Now is an opportunity for those who wish to address the council to come forward.
Mayor Tom Ross, council members. Alderman Burlingame, at the December 4 City Council meeting, you emphasized again that ADA push buttons are not an ADA requirement for private businesses. This lectern does not meet ADA requirements. At the December 4 and November 20 meeting, I addressed it. I addressed that bringing in a table with a microphone where a disabled person in a wheelchair can pull in forward to approach the city council appropriately could meet ADA requirements. This new city hall has been open since May 2023. I just noticed on the top of the agenda letter packet that we received when walking in that it says any person needing special accommodations for the meeting is requested to notify the city clerk's office. This is no less offensive than the ADA push button at the zoo that has a phone number on it in order to get access because it doesn't work. Is there not an ordinance that requires ADA push buttons to work? If it is, that it's required to have one? City Manager Harold Stewart, the north entrance on the City Hall still does not meet the ADA requirements for occupancy. Is the City Hall operating illegally without a permit, without occupancy, or does it have a permit? And if it has a permit, how long is it for in order to meet that requirement for occupancy? Alderman Burlingame, you also addressed high-level expenses to meet minimum ADA requirements and that people chose to not make the improvements, slowing down improvements on accessibility because of misinformation that exists. An example is what Harold Stewart, you said, was an off-the-cuff comment from Luke Telema giving a $9,000 estimate for an ADA push button. It's because of the foundation of conversations here that could halt progress. This is the opposite of advocating. You also address the decline in the disabled being employed. Excuse me, I'm sorry. Alderman Burlingame, you also addressed high-level, I'm sorry. Alderman Burlingame, you also addressed the decline in the disabled being employed after the ADA was passed because employers were concerned about being sued. Shouldn't attention be turned on why the ADA was passed? And if compliant, why would there be a concern of being sued? I would like to state again that the City of Mandan business between 2009 and 2020 installed over 50 automatic doors using city grants or programs. Because of COVID in 2020, the ordinance was changed. It was stated that this is by no means meant to overturn anything that the voters approved, but rather to create an environment that could allow the potential of microgrants or loans to small businesses, said Ellen Huber, Business Development Director. The proposal allows the city to offer up to $5,000 to businesses without requiring an automatic door. According to Huber, the cost of the doors is at least $2,000. She says businesses avoid programs that offer less than $5,000 because they had to spend most of it on the door. Thank you. Do you have any questions for me?
I don't think so. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Now is your opportunity, if you wish to address the council, to step forward.
Mayor Ross, members of the council, my name is Ken Oda. I'm with the Minot Minotoros. I'm before you today. I need your help, basically. I was late getting our liquor license application in. I've historically always done it on our Christmas break. I guess my understanding now is that we are supposed to turn it in 45 days prior to the end of the year. And speaking with the city clerk this afternoon, I learned the only holdup at this point is that we are waiting on our building inspection, which I imagine we will pass as we play in a city-owned building. But I'm wondering what, if anything, we can do. We don't play again until the 12th of January, so we have 10 days until we would be attempting to sell anyway. But wondering what we can do to ensure that we are able to sell that day and not waiting until the next city council meeting, which I believe is the 16th.
You know, there was some discussion about that earlier today, and I think one option, because you did miss the deadline, and I don't believe the requirement was to try to have them in by the end of November. So our staff had enough time to get the inspections, to do the walkthroughs, to get all the paperwork done, so we could have it all done in a timely manner, correct?
Correct, and also because they also have to apply for a state license. They have to have a state and city license in order to
Our
operate.
state license has also been
So-
sent in as well.
So one option that I think would be a potential to explore is finding another establishment to pull or apply for a special use permit,
Okay.
which would give you that option too. But it would be working with another establishment in town that could do that process, which I think, go ahead.
You might want to clarify with Chief Klug if that's allowed.
Okay,
Due
that's
to
a
the
good point.
fact that they already have a premise set.
Good point.
I don't believe you can premise a place twice.
And I think we're going to learn. Right?
Mr. Mayor, members of council, once there's a premise set, you can't
Okay.
bring a special event permit into that same premise.
I spoke too soon. Okay, thank you, Chief.
Just to clarify, would that still apply if we don't technically have a premise, if we haven't been approved yet?
Mr. Mayor, members of council, without knowing if anything has been established with the state, I can't accurately answer that question. Once they file the paperwork with the state, they consider it an establishment. So if that's been done, then it would be a premise under the state, maybe not under the city, but it would be under the state, and that would shut that requirement. Basically, not allow it at that point.
Okay. Scott?
Mr. Mayor, what would be the process for ensuring that they could get their liquor license by the 12th? Is our only option to have a special city council meeting, or how would we go about doing that?
That, because they do need to be approved by the council. Renewals are approved by the council, usually under consent. So it
Scott?
fall under.
Yeah.
Just
Terry?
two of us can request a special meeting, and I'd be happy to go along with you and request a special meeting to address this issue.
Sure, I'd definitely be willing to do that. Obviously, we'd want to ensure that everything was ready at that point. I mean, if you're not background premise, your inspection was done in
Can we
time.
find a time on January 10th, that Friday maybe? Michaela?
I can definitely reach out to council and see what would
We need a
work.
quorum, we need a quorum.
Yep,
so-
and then I would have to there's 4 right now that are in the system that are waiting in the process somewhere. I think
So maybe
maybe all
we could
4 might
address them.
be with building review.
Okay.
And then they would go to Chief Klug for approval, and then they would come to council. So I don't know if
Would
I
8 days be enough, Chief Klug, for you?
would need to make sure with PD, or building first.
Well, building's here, can we see if that is realistic? Who's here from building?
I don't see Luke.
Is Brian here? Lance, you probably have a good estimated guess, just because you,
I will say, when I talked to Luke this morning, because I did have another.
oh, Brian is here, I'm so sorry, Brian, I didn't see you. I'm sorry, you weren't over with the others. Do you think, as that being your department, that's a realistic?
Good evening, Mayor and City Council. We can certainly do our best. It's next Friday, correct? Is that the
Correct,
date?
would be the
Yeah.
next date that we'd be
Yeah,
looking to sell.
yeah, we'll do our best to get there by next Friday.
Okay, and Chief Klug, would that be achievable on your end too?
if we had a special meeting on the 10th, would we have everything we need before us to make the approval?
Mr. Mayor, Alderwoman Evans, as long as everything gets done timely and it gets to us before that day,
Yeah,
then we can probably make it happen, yes.
okay. So I guess, Scott, you want to make a motion for a special meeting on January 10th?
I'll make a motion for a special meeting on January 10th.
Second, it doesn't, actually, we don't have to do a motion. Two people in the code, it says two people can request it, but we can do a motion, we can, you know.
I don't need to if we don't need to. I would just say that in general, obviously, Ken, don't ever make this mistake again. Any other providers that are out there, do not make this mistake again. But I also would hate to have people show up for a hockey game in a town where we need revenue and where we need fun and not be able to enjoy it, so.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So Michaela, you'll work on that?
Mark?
What time are we thinking of the special meeting to occur?
Michaela will,
I'll have to look.
Schedules.
I do know that we are looking to set up our first alcohol ordinance committee meeting that day, also at 1. So I'm just waiting on a few people from that committee to respond, so 1 o'clock would be the only time that this room will already be being used. I would have to look with staff schedules and your guys' schedules too.
Any other questions, comments? Okay. Staying with personal appearances, now is an opportunity for those who wish to address the council to come forward to podium. Seeing none, we will move on to item number 9 on the agenda. That's miscellaneous and discussion items. I think before we get to 9.1, do we have Chief, you want to come up and address some of those issues?
Mr. Mayor, members of council, so the question came following our special meeting in reference to the spot. They made a request to open as a billiards hall, and following the guidance that the council gave. So the question came in, there was some discussion during that meeting about alcohol being removed from the building, and I believe, I just want clarification. I gave them direction for tonight that as long as they have the alcohol in a different location and it's locked away, that they're okay, but it is still in the building. They said it's not on the premises, so it must be somewhere outside of the established premises, but it is locked away somewhere in the building. So I just want to make sure that you're okay with it as long as it's locked away, and I can direct them that they can carry on that way.
Do we have control of the lock?
We do not.
Okay.
I would rather not have control of that lock. I would rather leave that with them, and we'll just do compliance checks occasionally to make sure they're not serving.
Mr. Mayor?
motion, so can you
Lisa?
clarify?
Yeah, thank you. And that's what I was going to say. I made that addition to the motion with the intent that the alcohol was not going to be given away free, that it would be put away. So I am comfortable with it being, just away, but in the building. That's fine. That was my intent.
That was what I.
Was just to have it.
That's what I believe that to be your intent.
Okay. Paul?
Is the upstairs still
That
barricaded?
is still locked, to my knowledge, yes.
Maybe Chief
Kelly's
Kelly
not
would
here
know. She's here.
She's
hiding.
She's hidden almost as well as Brian.
Is the upstairs of the spot still barricaded? Could it be possible that, again, they could put it up there, we could coordinate with fire and,
Like a lot,
And they
Lisa
have
just
it.
wants it away,
Oh.
why would we make them do more?
It does sound like it is locked. It's just
okay.
under their control.
I mean, that's just a pain, they could break bottle, you know what I mean?
Yep, that's fine.
And truly, the intent, Mr. Mayor, was that the alcohol was not going to be given away for
Right.
free. Yes.
Locked, at some
Thank
point,
you.
we have to just have.
Does that provide you with enough direction? Okay. Okay. Moving on to item 9.1, the online licensing and permitting update. Evening, Mr. Mayor, members of council. Emily and I are going to do a presentation tonight just to update you on the status of our CityWorks project. So just a little background. So we started this project actually in early 2020. And even before that, I had this vision of trying to get us into an asset management program and eventually onto online permitting and plan review, just to help us to be more efficient, have better data management, and then eventually we need to be more innovative on how we program some of our public infrastructure replacements. So it's been a long road to get us to this point here tonight, but we're in really good shape. And really, it's been such a team effort by so many divisions in our city. My team has helped on the GIS front to get us up and running, and that's what this entire program is built on. So we had to have a good foundation there, and then we're able to take off and really build out our asset management and our online permitting and licensing. Emily and Tom Steckler in our office have done just a tremendous job of working with all these different departments across the city, the clerk's office, PD, and the list goes on, just trying to go through our ordinances and make sure that they're up to date. And then, you got to program something into a computer and there's no gray area. It's either it does this or it doesn't do that. So I think we've learned a lot together about some of the things that we had to update and organize a little bit. But we're in pretty good shape. So Emily's going to just kind of walk you through the status, and then her and I will be available if you have any follow-up questions.
Yes, good evening, Mayor, council members. So what you're seeing up on the screen here is just a screenshot of the homepage, the permitting landing page was on the city website. So if someone goes to the City of Minot website, clicks on I want to apply for a permit, it will bring you here. This is the same page that they would have gone to previously. If you were to scroll down on this page, we still do have links to PDF forms for some of the licenses and permits that we haven't converted over yet. But right at the top there takes you to the online permitting portal, which is what's shown in that little screenshot, kind of over to the right that says City of Minot. That's what your login would look like. There's also a link to a playlist on the City of Minot's YouTube page. I would like to tell you that it's just thrilling videos that we have on there, but it's just a bunch of me rambling on of how to. It's showing you on the screen exactly how to walk through applying for different types of permits and licenses. You can see me clicking through the process, typing in the information, uploading attachments. So it really walks you through it step by step. You can be watching it, pause it, rewind it, do what you need to do. So hopefully we're making it as painless as possible for our residents and our customers who need to use this. Obviously, we know it's a learning curve for everyone, and we really appreciate them bearing with us and working through this on this first year. I haven't used this new screen. How do I advance my slide? Got it for me. Perfect. This is kind of a summary, a lot of what you saw in the memo that was included in the packet, but basically we're not switching everything over 100% all at one time. Right now we are working on our annual license renewals, so that's been our contractor licenses, tobacco licenses, remote alarm permits. We are issuing our alcohol licenses. Once they're approved, we're issuing them out through the system, but we did the same paper application process that's been in previous years. So those are the ones that we're currently doing. Once we get these annual things taken care of at the beginning of the year here, we'll slowly start moving into building permits and trade permits. We do have a few contractors that are starting to use the system already. It's nice to get those things started right now in a slower time of construction season, so that the contractors and our staff can all get used to the new system before we really get into the spring and things pick up. Right-of-way permits, site plans, floodplain development, those are things that run through our office. Continue working with the city clerk over the next month or two to get start using special event alcohol licenses, gaming permits, gaming site authorization. A lot of those things go through the clerk and through PD, so we've all been working together on those and a few others. Later in the year, we'll move on to some kind of lesser used licenses and permits, and then in the future, we know we still need to get back to land development, the different things that we run through the planning department and planning commission, and then other licenses and permits. There's maybe a handful that we don't have listed here, or as new licenses and permits come up, an ordinance change that we have a new requirement for something, we'll always be able to add that to the system. As Lance mentioned, we're doing this to become more efficient. We're certainly not more efficient this year. We know that. This is a time-consuming process and learning curve. So once we get everyone in the system, every year it'll get easier and things will be much easier to do renewals and easier on the customer side. So the numbers so far, we have over 800 users. These were my numbers from this morning. I looked before I left the office, we had 30 new users and new payments today. I'm guessing the majority of those are probably remote alarm permits, but over 300 contractors' licenses in there. We still have some outstanding ones that are in their 30-day grace period, so hopefully we get everybody in there for the end of the month. Now I'm sure we're over 450 alarm permits. Tobacco is in there. We've been taking the online payments, working with the finance department, working with the IT department. Had a few hiccups at the beginning, but things have been going pretty smoothly for the last couple weeks. So, we're just continuing to work through that. If you left us a voicemail about needing help with your remote alarm permit, we are calling you back. We're catching up on a few of those from the holidays, so we're reaching out to everyone, and it's just a wide range of IT skill savvy with different people. We're working with national corporations who apply for things from us, and we're also working with our neighbors who apply for remote alarm permits, and people have different comfort levels with doing things online. So we're helping everyone get through that, and we haven't reached back out to you yet. You're on our list, and we'll be returning all those calls and getting you in the system. So that basically, just wanted to keep it pretty short and simple, and just let the council know where we're at, and let the public know that we're working on this. And if you have any questions, we'd be happy to take those.
Any questions? Carrie?
Okay, we have the website here. You want to walk me through it step by step. So I'm on a tobacco license. I go in, there's information I put in, and then the system automatically routes it to the appropriate places it needs to go.
Yep. Yeah, so the YouTube video will say how to apply for a business license. One video walks you through, it's from the applicant side, whether you're applying for an alcohol license or a tobacco license or a plumbing license, it's the same thing. It's gonna maybe ask you a few different questions, but you click through the screens, upload some PDFs if that's a requirement for your type of application. And then, once you submit it, likely a lot of them go to Michaela, depending on what license it is. Mm-hmm. She sees you put in the info, and then it sends it out to PD for a background check, or sends it to building for a site inspection, whatever those things are. It automatically sends them to all the departments, sends it to them concurrently. So on an alcohol license, a background check and the fire inspection and the building inspection, they all get the notification. So nobody's holding anybody up.
And then Michaela can log in and sort of see who's done what? How does?
Yeah, so Emily has been great with her staff, and they have set me up a bunch of tabs. So when I log in, I can see what's on Chief Klug's ready. I can log into any of them and see where they're at, but she's set me up a bunch of different tabs so I can see what process they're in, so that it's efficient for staff as well.
You can nudge if you need
Yep.
to. And is there the option, because I always do this, to like save and exit? Like if I'm like, oh my God, I don't have those documents, I have to go find them, I can save what I've done and come back and do that?
Yep, in the portal, they have a button on the left side that's like incomplete applications,
Okay,
I think.
cool.
They could go back to that. And then the nice thing with the licenses, when I say licenses, I'm talking about things that are annually renewed. Permits are issued for like an event or a construction or something, but an annually renewed license. Now, next year, those 1,000 people that are contractors and remote alarm holders, they're gonna get an email on November 1st or whenever we choose to send it to say, go in to your existing license. Everything that you had put in there last year is gonna be there. So just update if things have changed, upload some new attachments if you need, but it'll all be there. So I think the process will be,
Oh, I do have one more. I know we have a very low compliance rate with licenses for our domestic animals. Can we do that through the portal? And if not, is that something that can be added? Because I think just a lot of people would do it if it was like that. I don't even know the process to do it, really.
you know, I think that's one of the ones, sorry, Ms. Evans, that's one of the ones that probably falls on my list of other licenses and permits.
Okay.
We know there's a few things out there that are on the books in ordinance that
Right.
that maybe we could add to this. We're
Right.
trying to kind of first get at the biggest ones that have
Exactly.
the most users.
Because that is revenue too, so, yeah. Okay.
Yeah, and we can certainly.
I was just wondering, because people are always like, what? I have to.
We can expand upon the system
Wonderful.
in the future.
Well, it sounds great. I mean, and the feedback from applicants has been, I'm sure, mixed, right? Because it's new and all, but.
Yeah, absolutely. Mayor, council members, you know, the feedback is mixed. There's people that are like, well, thank goodness we're finally going paper-free. Thank goodness I can finally easily pay with a credit card at midnight or whenever I choose to do this. And there's a handful of people that are not happy with it. It's not what they've been used to for several years. So that's to be expected, I
Yeah.
think.
Any other questions or comments? If not, thank you, Emily. Just want to make it for the record that Dr. Potter, Steve is now in attendance. Steve?
Thank you, Mayor. If I could apologize, I had a court hearing scheduled at 5:15, and it was my mistake. When they first called me several months ago to schedule my appearance, I said, fine, not thinking that our council meeting would be moved to Tuesday. So I apologize for missing the first part of this meeting. I'm sorry for that.
Well, with that,
But judges don't like it when you don't show up.
make a motion, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
We have a motion, is there a second? All in favor, say aye. All opposed, we are adjourned. Happy New Year, everybody.
This one, 7-2, of course.